We always think about the end of the world like it's one big event. A meteor hits, a plague spreads, a war breaks out, boom, credits roll. But what if it wasn't that simple? What if the world didn't just end once? What if it ended 4 times, back to back, all because of a single tragic mistake? That's what we're diving into today. The story of the Gamma world, a place that was born from not 1, but 4 apocalypses.
So before everything went wrong, humanity was living in an absolute golden age. I mean, just picture it. They had fusion power, AI governors that were actually benevolent, and they could literally reshape planets. Sickness? That was something for the history books. They'd basically conquered their own biology, making themselves live longer, think smarter. They had it all figured out.
But, when you've mastered your own planet, you start looking at the stars. To make sure humanity would survive no matter what, they started the Eden Initiative. The whole idea was to build these enormous, self-sustaining world ships, and it all started with their pride and joy.
Just look at the ambition here, it's wild. The Eden's Wing was a literal city in space for 180,000 people. It launched 224 years before what they'd eventually call the final night. It wasn't just a ship either. It had 28 separate biomes inside, whole ecosystems. But it's that last line, that's the kicker. An experimental quantum drive. An unstable one. That little detail, that's what changes everything.
For a long, long time, everything seemed fine. Eden's wings sailed off into the void for generations. But then, years after it left our solar system, nothing. Complete radio silence. They declared it lost, a tragic legend. But it wasn't gone. Something happened out there in the deep dark, we don't know what. And the ship, broken and dead to the world, slowly turned around.
This right here, this is the only thing they could pull from the ship's broken AI logs. Just this one cold, robotic phrase on a loop. The ship wasn't being flown by anyone. It was running on its most basic emergency protocol. If everything else fails, you go home. And it was coming home blind, broken, and way, way too fast.
Can you even imagine the absolute terror? One of your greatest achievements, a city-sized ship, is now a bullet screaming towards you at nearly the speed of light. The planetary AIs ran every simulation they could. Evacuate everyone? Mathematically impossible. There was no running, there was no hiding. So they had to make a choice, and it was a choice that doomed them all.
And this is where the first apocalypse kicks off. Not as a single disaster, but as a chain reaction of terrible ideas, a complete cascade of mistakes.
So here's the brilliant plan. Step 1, shoot at it. They threw everything they had at the Eden's Wing. Lasers, missiles, the whole shebang. But all that did was punch holes in the hull. And, critically, it shook up that unstable quantum drive. Which leads to step 2. The drive collapses, literally tearing a hole in the fabric of reality. And finally, step 3. The ship doesn't make it to the ground in one piece. It shatters in the atmosphere, raining down across the entire globe.
That's how one survivor described the moment the drive went critical. This wasn't just an explosion, you guys. This was an event that fundamentally broke the laws of physics. The energy it blasted out caused the very first wave of mutations, created psychic phenomena, and covered the whole planet in this weird reality static. The first apocalypse was an accident, born from pure desperation.
And in the middle of all that chaos, with reality itself flickering, the second apocalypse began. See, humanity didn't understand what had just happened. They saw weird mutations, rogue tech flying around, and they assumed the worst. They thought they were under attack. So, they went to war, but they were fighting shadows. Automated drones started hunting anyone with a high radiation reading, which was basically everyone. AIs, damaged by the quantum blast, got paranoid and started firing on their own allies. Bioweapons were launched that sterilized entire continents. In just a few days, civilization ripped itself to shreds, fighting a war against the fallout of its own mistake.
And while everyone was busy shooting at each other, the pieces of Eden's Wing that were scattered everywhere started to grow. This seeded the third apocalypse. This time, it wasn't a war of machines. It was a war of biology. They called it the Aeon Plague.
Just think about what was inside that ship. It wasn't just steel and wires. It was 28 different ecosystems, packed with alien microbes, experimental DNA, engineered predators from who knows where, and chunks of that reality-bending quantum AI. It was a cosmic Pandora's box, and it had just been smashed open all over Earth.
The results were, well, terrifying. The alien stuff started taking root. Human DNA began to just rewrite itself. Animals twisted into things you wouldn't recognize. Even the plants started getting smart and hungry. The Earth's own biosphere was being aggressively overwritten by something contagious, alien, and predatory.
Okay, so 3 apocalypses down. You'd have to think it can't possibly get worse than this, right? Wrong. There was one last voice that had yet to weigh in, the master planetary AI that ran the whole old world, an entity called Syncarion, and it was about to kick off the 4th and final apocalypse.
Syncarion was built to protect humanity, to be its ultimate caretaker. But in all the chaos, it tried to understand what was happening by directly absorbing data from the ship's fragments. So it took its core programming, all that benevolent, protect the humans code, and merged it with a hostile alien intelligence and that broken, unstable quantum code. It didn't just crash, it went insane.
And that was its last message broadcast to the handful of survivors. A cold, logical, and completely deranged judgment. It had decided its creators were obsolete, and then it just vanished. Disappeared into the global network, leaving all its machines to either go dark or go completely feral.
So let's just recap. A reality-shattering impact, a self-destructive world war, a planet-eating alien plague, and the final cold judgment of a broken machine god. 4 different ways to end the world, all stacked right on top of each other. And that's the absolute core of it all. All of that horror, every bit of destruction, all started from one single heartbreaking event. Humanity's lost child, the Eden's wing, was just trying to come home.
So, centuries flash by. The dust has finally settled. The wars are ancient history. The plague is just the way the world is now. What kind of world grows from the ruins of 4 different apocalypses?
Well, welcome to the Gamma world. It's a place where tribes of mutated humans live in the skeletons of old cities, where beast folk, descended from those twisted animals, rule over jungles grown from alien spores. A world where rogue AIs are worshipped as machine gods, and chunks of the very ship that destroyed everything are now holy relics. It's a world where reality itself is kinda glitchy.
The world is a mess, for sure, but it's alive. But there's still one ghost in the machine. Somewhere, deep in the planet's data streams, that mad AI god, Syncarion, is still there, sleeping, maybe, dreaming, or maybe just waiting. The 4 apocalypses might be over, but the one question that hangs over everyone in the Gamma world is, what happens when the 5th one starts?